here.
And this one.
My GTK.
It's just for recording. Can I just?
Wait.
Okay.
My jacket. No, I want it. Just put it there. No, it's because there is because since network was not there, but this is still a USB. No.
No.
Let me plug me. No, for power. For power, just for power, because otherwise it can happen. But okay, we do it without. It's okay. That's for my talk of what you just saw is for my Wednesday talk. This is the one of today. Wait, because I need to mirror this. So yes, we are going to talk again about Spec and GTK. This is the afternoon of when we talk about things that we have been talking since years, but now we are finally reaching the point where we can release stuff, so it's not so bad. Okay, now we are here. So yes, we are going to talk about building real-life applications with Spec and GTK. I'm Esteban Lorenzano, not Esteban Maringolo. And I've been doing this since a lot of time, but never enough. And Christophe can present himself. You can speak louder.
I'm Christophe Demarais, so I worked with Esteban on this presentation and using Spec since a few years now.
Can we have the microphone, so if we are two, one can talk here and the other can talk with the microphone, because it's going to be more practical. Yeah, so... so I will speak here and he will speak there. No, the upper side because he's taller. Okay.
So maybe you already know, but just a reminder about what is Spec, because even if we discuss that at each ESUG, the last presentation about Spec was already 4 years ago, so you may have forgotten about it. So Spec is a framework in Faro for describing user interfaces. So it fits for a wide range of user interfaces. You can see most Faro tools are written in Spec. So in fact, all Faro tools but one are already written in Spec.
But it's the biggest one. It's Calypso. So it will be quite a work to move on. So
the fundamental principle behind Spec is to reuse of the UI logic and its visual composition. So we build user interfaces by reusing existing user interfaces and composing them to build another user interfaces with some configuration.
So you get user interfaces. That's the important part.
Okay. So it's not complicated. The central concept of Spec is a presenter. A presenter, it is where you will instantiate your widgets that will then compose your user interfaces. So a Spec application is composed of one or many presenters. Each presenter has one or many layouts. It's the way you will arrange the disposition of your presenters. Presenters can also be styled. It's not mandatory. And presenter will work with your domain objects. And behind the scene, it's not important for you, but presenters have adapters that will deal with the API of low-level widgets. So why Spec? we want to only write once an application, and then we want to run on many backends. So here you have an example. It's a small application that was written in Spec. And on the left you have the rendering with Morphic, and on the right you have the rendering with GTK. So for now it's like that. In the future we would also like to render the same application without any change with Toplo.
Yes, and I have to explain that for us it's very important the same write once in Spec, run in different backends, because this all started because we needed to move on from Morphic in the image, because Morphic is an old technology that does not fit our needs now, but we have tons of tools. So we want to be able to replace an old technology without needing to rewrite all the tools. We have at least 40 tools inside the image of different complexity. So if each time cutting the dependency between that, it was very important for us. And that's why that is a driver motivation, even if sometimes we need to accept certain compromises for that. So, and then, this in fact does not have much to do with the talk, but I wanted to show how scriptable is Spec today. All the screenshots that we showed before, were using with this, because, okay, the truth is we lost the application that was the example, so I needed to rebuild the image. I did that in 5 minutes, and I ran it in both backends at the same time. So it's nice because you can prototype in the playground, and it's very dynamic. There are videos around about that, and and it works. It fits the concept of Faro and the concept of Smalltalk of building dynamically and live everything. You can edit in and see the things changing as it happens. So, who does not know what is GTK? Okay, everybody knows. But who knows that? Who knew that it means GIMP toolkit and not NOM toolkit? I know, but okay. But you know that it's a rich set of widgets, and for us the most important part is that it's open source, it's free, open source that we can use, and it's written in C, which makes that the FFI bindings for it are a lot easier to do than in other set of widgets. Because everybody asks why GTK and not Qt, and what, because it's easy for us. And that was the case. And it's very mature and works very fine. So how is our support? Okay, you all know the graphic on your left, which is a layer graphic. Basically, it means that you have GTK, FFI, the bindings that are already in Faro doing. And there is the Spec GTK layer, which is the adapter part that was explained before, and then it's a Spec. And the important part there is that you do not have to deal with any of that except the latest layer. And if you have to deal with that, or we are doing something wrong, or you are doing something wrong, then it's most probably the first part. We. And but it's very important also to understand how to work with the Spec and GTK to understand the second graphic. Well, basically, it looks complex, but in fact it's very easy. It just means that your program does not communicate directly with the event loop. It just pushes events to it. In fact, it just pushes once. It says, I have something that I want to do, and then the event loop calls you back saying, okay, do that now, in the moment that says. And each time there is an event loop, an event happening, it pushes you a callback. So the communication is asynchronic, but not all the time. Because, for example, in your program, if you want to run a dialog, for example, you just open it modal, and you have to wait until something happens in the other side. So it is asynchronic, but you actually do synchronic from this. You stop the working here until you have an answer there, but that is not a stop. That continues running. And the same happens here. For example, if I want to, no, they are hearing me and I have the microphone, so it's okay. If you have an event, for example, fill in a list, give me an element for the list. He's going to wait until you answer. But here is asynchronic. So what happens, for example, if I have a debugger here? He will be blocked. And then you will be screwing up your program. So the main lesson here is get out of the queue as fast as you can and do not block the UI thread because you will be blocking your program. This is important because most of the framework in Spec GTK already does that work for you. It handles the passing without you noticing. But sometimes, like filling a list, you need to do it. And for example, something that happens with the program that we are going to show now is that it was doing a request to the internet to fill the list in the middle of the callback. And for example, what happens if that internet breaks? Sorry. Then you have a debugger in Faro, in Smalltalk, and you have a crash in the other side. So and then you have to be aware of that. So why GTK 4? Well, because it's the new kid in the block and who wants to work with old stuff. But especially because they improve a lot the list tables and tree components, which we in Faro, we use it all the time. And Smalltalk is everything about lists. So it was needed. Basically, now they implement the same pattern that the fast table in Morphic I did years ago, copying another design because it's the design that has established as the most effective for doing that. And you have other libraries that you could use. So that's why we are using GTK4. So other thing is that with GTK, with this backend, you need to work in the image in worker mode, to work in Faro in worker mode. Who knows what worker mode is? You should. It's a capability that has the Faro VM to execute the image Faro itself in a separated thread other than the main thread. So you do an instruction to the image, and then it opens a thread and separates. Why is important? Because then you can stop it, and then you can not pull in constantly to see if there is an event, so your VM will not be CPU consuming as before. And also allows to have having separated threads allows you to having not blocking processes for real. So now is the time of the demo.
So we had to choose an application to show how GTK looks very well. So we choose one big application we already have written in Spec, FLauncher. So it was already written in Spec 2, rendered on Morphic. So you have a screenshot that is there. We did not have to rewrite everything. We just needed to do some enhancements for the look and feel. You will see. They will be available for both backends. And also, we had to do some styling for the application. So probably you already all know what is FLauncher. Yeah? Okay. So, time for demo.
Well, okay, this is how FLauncher looks now. And also in the dark theme. And it's not horrible, but it's kind of age, let's say it like this. No? But it was done in Spec. So once we finish the migration from Spec GTK 3 to Spec GTK 4, ideally this will run immediately on Spec, and in fact it did. But this is what we got when we run the first time. Okay, I will say that it's already better. What? But then we needed to work a lot on it to make it really appealable, and that's how it looks now. No. And this is how it looks now. And the demo was going to be run by him because I do Spec, but he does the FLauncher, so he knows where to click.
Okay, so it's the same application as you already know. FLauncher still manage your images. So the first thing we can do with FLauncher is to create an image. So you can see we have a modal dialog there. We can select Faro 12 image. Okay, we create it. We have the progress bar. Okay, and we have our image that is running. Okay. So we can also import some images into FLauncher. We will not do it, but you see dialogues are far better than in Morphic. We could run it from disk, it's the same thing. We can refresh, but let's take a look at another presenter. Here it's the list of Faro virtual machines that are available locally. So you can select one. You can update it, for example. Okay. We can delete some virtual
Don't do it.
machine.
Don't.
Don't? Really?
But no, you can delete it, but then other applications will not run.
And we have some also nice contextual menus. So for example, we can show the virtual machine on folder. Okay. What else? Settings. So there is one thing that I did not say. FLauncher used the setting browser that is still written in Morphic. The spec version is on the way, but we had to write a new presenter for it. And let's see now. Oh, sorry. How looks the settings? So we now have widgets that are nice. For example, we can use file dialog that are really nice. Let's do that. Okay, it's done. We really just change it back for the demo. Faro images. Okay, select. I can switch some options and network and so on. Okay, small window to have information about FLauncher. Maybe you do not know, but if you click on the link, you directly have FLauncher documentation.
Which exists.
Yes. It should be up to date. So, what else can we show? When you want to run an image, you can give options to the image or to the virtual machine. You could do that here. You can create a new configuration. Test. Okay. We give an argument to the virtual machine. Worker. It is the way you run it in worker mode. And if you want it to be interactive, you have to give the argument to the image. Okay. You could save it, and you see it is selected from there, and you can run the image with
that.
With that. Okay. There's that. What is also nice, we have links directly. For example, the location of the image. You click on it. You have the folder that is containing the image that is displayed directly. You could delete the image. Let's do that.
You can. I don't know. Click fine. Click fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, crash. It was not one.
The end of the demo.
It's the end of the demo. It was the end of the demo anyway. But why crash? Well, because maybe that button was not the right one. Because we are still migrating. But for example, yeah, that button is broken. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That was anyway the end of the demo, effectively. But delete works. So this you saw it. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about the importance of design, of UX, user experience, because as I always say, not because you have nice widgets, you will have a nice application. Nice applications requires a lot of work, and it's a discipline as important as the other disciplines of what you do in a program. I spent almost 2 weeks to make the first application look like the second, but not full time, but okay. But it was in a lapse of time to doing that. And I did it using, yes, I'm sorry, CSS, because, that's for Wednesday. That's not today. Because that's how GTK accepts styling. So you do a lot of. I'm looking for at the same time. I do not go to multiprocessing, so I need to wait for one action after the other. So the nice thing is that you can have. Yes, here as just a string, we could build tools for having better stuff like that, and you can have it as a separate stuff, and that means that a designer can work with you for that, but that's not enough. In fact, because layouting is also important in using experience, and you need to do it in a program because the CSS is not enough for doing that. So you need to work a lot on that. And I want to stress to pay attention for that, because then people start to complain that things do not look as good as it should, and this because we didn't spend, in general, the time for doing it. So I already talked about this, I think. Yes, I talked about this. Basically, it's what I said before. You need to keep in account that having separated processes is important to have a smooth behavior of your application, but you can still do a mess, like for example calling internet inside of a callback and hoping for the best there. And then you have to design also your program taking into account this kind of details, and that's not just because of GTK, it's just a general guideline. So now how to package this? Once we have the application doing, as soon as I fix the delete bug, and then we want to ship it.
Yes, so shipping an application done with Spec and GTK is almost like standard applications. So Pablo already presented last year at ESUG how to package an application. So there is the link if you want to remember. And what is specific to GTK is that you just need to ship GTK libraries with the FLauncher, and everything should be packaged into your applications. So it's not a big deal, just a few files in addition.
Yeah. So if you want to do an application, a desktop application that looks fine, you have a Spec GTK there as a backend to help. You can use it. You have to remember to not block the UI thread, and then you have to think a lot about UX. All the rest is more or less covered. So in the future.
Okay, so what's next? The first thing is that we want to release a FLauncher based on Spec GTK very soon. So the timing was a bit short for ESUG, but it will come soon. After, we would like to have an application builder that can help you to automate the packaging. So this thing is already on the way, Esteban?
Yes, in fact, I show a prototype working in the small talks. It's just I didn't have time to finish it. So, but it's there, and it was kind of working. Just it has the 20% of the work that misses for doing that will take the 80% of the time required, but okay, but it's there.
And also we need to enhance tooling to have a better development experience. For example, for better debugging experience where you are inside the callback, as Esteban explained.
Yes, because what happens now is you have a post-mortem debugger because we need to return to the event loop as fast as possible. So we return a default value. For example, if it's a Boolean, we return false. If it's a pointer, we return null with the risks that implies, but most of the time it works. And then and you have a post-mortem, so you still can debug and see what happened, but it's not as live as we want. And there are ways of enhancing that. It's just that we didn't have the time to do it.
But if you remember the advice of Esteban, you should not be for a long time in a callback. It should not be a big problem.
So, well, questions?
Thank you.
When you showed the settings dialog, was this the new implementation, or you said it will go to Spec, but it's still in Morphic, but it looked like GTK rendered it. So was it is converted from Morphic to automatically, or no. How did it work?
No, that was a replacement that we did fast to ship the FLauncher, and it's not implemented in Morphic. It's not implemented for Faro yet. That's the thing. Yes. So it was originally implemented using the settings browser of Faro. Since the settings browser of Faro in Spec is in testing mode now and is still not in production, we needed to implement a separated component. That's what he said.
So it was a preview of the...
That is GTK.
The Faro settings, yes, are done directly in Spec, and what I did for that is just reusing the pragma that we use for Faro settings and adapt that to build the Spec Spec presenter for it.
So we did a simplified settings browser.
Exactly.
That works for the moment just for the FLauncher. That.
The tables didn't seem to have resizable columns. Is that a setting, or is that still on the to-do list?
No. It's first, yes, they have. They are.
So until you hover over. Okay, I see.
It's just that the Advaita theme is not very good with contrasts. But yes, it has, and you can set it as before.
Nice.
You could sort it, but this is actually not implemented. But you have a function. We didn't put the block to sort it.
Cool.
But you can sort and you can do that.
Oh, very nice.
And in fact, you can even switch the columns on that, but we are not using that right now.
You say that you are not supposed to block the UI thread, which is a good practice. Do you have a way to post a message to a UI thread from the worker thread if you want to do something on the UI thread explicitly, like, I don't know, manipulating some widget?
Yes, what you do is, in fact, you say, I want to do something. You send call a function because it's not a message. You call a function to the GTK event loop, which is add idle action, and you give him a callback. and he will call you when he is able to do it. that's how it works. So, but it's just one function. Call me when you can.
And you can execute any Smalltalk code there that affects the UI thread.
Yes.
Okay,
No, you can. You can even call the internet and wait for hours until you have an answer. It will not be cool, but you can do it. In fact, one thing that is nice of the tables is that before they were very rough, you were able just to put text and that, and now you can put any presenter that you want. So you can put a table inside a table inside a table if you want, for example. That will look weird, but you could do it.
very useful. Yes.
I know, I'm quite sure that Pavel will find a way that made that useful.
Thanks.
Okay? Thank you very much.